Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with KISK, our Keep It Simple Circle marketing partners, we are here to help our Humongous AM and Humongous FM radio customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes Radio, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So join us to make the world a better place. Spread the word, tell a friend, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils. Take it away, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You are listening to us on the Building Fortunes Radio Count on the Truth radio show. We do this with Ken Nielson every Tuesday night around 8:30-ish, if you will, Eastern Time, 6:30 over on the mountainside where he is. And if you're noticing it seems to get darker earlier, it is. I think we're at the tail end of summer, right? The end of August. This is our last radio show of August. We're here on August 25th of 2026 for those people who like to keep score. And we do this radio show as a result of a conversation that I had with Ken quite a while ago when we were just talking about different things. And we were talking about, I was building some aspects of a website. Ken thought that was really cool. And then we were talking about, like, what's the environment out there relative to home-based businesses. And we both kind of came to the conclusion that home-based businesses should really be thriving, but they're kind of stuck because of the negative stigma that some of them have and the anti-MLM traction that some of the YouTubers have gotten. And I think sometimes, everything is turned into you got to be cautious. So there's a lot of scammers out there as well. So we said, why don't we do some radio shows where we can talk a little bit about, or a lot about, what's going on in the home-based business arena and maybe even about the company that you're working with. And we can help people feel better about joining this industry. So sometimes the negative things are the ones that grab the headlines, and a lot of people that are the silent heroes never get spoken about and never get heard from. So we'll do some radio shows. The next thing was come up with a name for the radio show. And of course, if you're going to build a website, a domain name. And he said, I have a list of about, 15 or 20 domain names that I could use, either the ones I own or could buy. And I said, well, send me the list and let's, cooperatively figure this stuff out. And as I was going through the list, I was like, I really like that one. That one could work. Actually, all the ones he gave me, I could work with. And some were a little bit better than others, but all of them were really good. And then I got kind of stuck on the one countonthetruth.com. And I went back to it a couple of different times and I said, you know what? I really like that for a number of reasons. Number one, when I say countonthetruth.com, most of you, even if you're listening in, can understand and then spell it out. Next, it's a .com domain name, and .coms are always really good for the search engines. Next, it really does explain what Ken does. You can count on him for the truth. He's going to have an interesting conversation with you. If it's good for you, we like to playfully say, go for it. If it's bad for you, avoid it. For most people, this will be good. So unless the timing is wrong or some other weird thing going on in your life, whatever Ken's working on would be good for you, either part-time or full-time or sometime. So I said, let's do it. So we've been doing Count on the Truth Radio for a really long time. Today is going to be another great example of this, and we'll blend in different, maybe some levels of experiences, of opinions as we go. But Ken, thanks for being here on your own radio show.
Hey, Peter. Hey, great to hear your voice and great to be able to get a little bit of your time, because I know I'm extremely happy with the inspiration and the insider's view, so to speak, because it's hard finding people that have your type of experience, knowledge, and wisdom. So great to be connected. And I guess maybe before I get too carried away and just jump right into this, I want to make sure that our technology is working. Are you hearing me on this end okay?
Yeah, you're doing great. You're perfect.
Okay. All right. Sounding good on your end also. Just want to make sure our connection was okay, because I know that can be a challenge sometimes, just depending on what's going on from one end of the nation to maybe quite a bit of a distance further away. So
the idea that we could do this at all is a miracle.
Well, it's just amazing. It's supposedly how easy it's supposed to be, but certain things that happen with Mother Nature and what her will is can make it just extremely difficult at the same time. So, and I could talk about communications, whether it's doing search and rescue, or whether it's back in the time of even, like, for example, the Vietnam War, when we did what we call phone patches, where they would use certain frequencies for radio contact. We didn't have transcontinental cables that were connected from one side to the other, but you had to do it with certain radio frequencies, and they would be able to get maybe from Vietnam into California, then California could make the connection through the telephones, and that's how people made their connections in talking to family back in that era. And now we just, last week we talked about taking things for granted, and as long as all the satellites are up there and doing what they're supposed to do, cell phones and cell towers and all that, we just expect everything to work like it's supposed to. And I know when things go bad and the cell towers go away and those types of things, those connections disappear, we get to rely on amateur radio again to make the connections. But whole nother subject for another time. And just wanted to kind of jump into a few things here tonight, and maybe kind of relate to some of the things that we take for granted. But I thought it was interesting because they talk about particular days and days in history. And this morning while listening to a radio show, they actually gave us a choice. And they said that this day is known as Makeup Day or Banana Split Day. So I know that I think they've labeled every day of the year as a specific thing for what day it represents. And I think I would probably go with Banana Split Day now. I would think you would probably do the same thing. But a lot of the gals might go for both of those. And then one of the other things that they said, 50 years ago today, on August 25th, there was a group that introduced, it was the highest-selling debut album for a particular rock band that represented who they were, and it sold 17 million albums on its debut. And I'm pretty sure that you're familiar with the group called Boston. And Boston held that record for quite some time until another group came along, and with Boston selling 17 million albums, this group sold 18 million, and of course that was here in the United States, and then there's extra sold worldwide. I'm sure you're familiar with the group called Guns N' Roses. Any thoughts on those two groups? Are you familiar with both the groups, Peter?
Familiar with both, and I'm probably more of a Boston fan than a Guns N' Roses fan.
Okay. Well, I can understand that. It seems like the Boston is a little more instrumental, and the Guns N' Roses might be a little bit more of shout in your face type thing, depending on what kind of energy you're expecting and kind of what's going on. But I didn't think that it would be Guns N' Roses that actually kind of broke the record there and changed those numbers. So kind of a fun thing. And believe it or not, today is the Demon's birthday. At least that's who they referred to, the Demon, as somebody from the rock and roll band name of Kiss, and that's Gene Simmons, 77 years old today. So a lot of crazy things. There's a lot more things that are happening on this particular day, but I just thought I'd throw some of that stuff out there and kind of make people just kind of smile and say, wow, has it really been that long that since we've had 50 years from the debut of Boston? That's just incredible.
That's not possible.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that way, does it?
Yeah, no.
It does seem that way.
When you said banana splits, I was thinking, are you talking about the ice cream or the sitcom? Remember there was a TV sitcom called The Banana Splits?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, in fact, I forgot all about that until you just brought it up. So I don't know how long that was popular for, but I think maybe a couple of years. But yeah, banana splits of all shows on television.
And the Monkees, rock bands that had shows.
Yeah, well, and there's something that's just incredible in itself. The Monkees, they outperform the records and some of the things that are associated with the music industry. They were outperforming the band group called the Beatles for a couple of years. They were more popular than anybody when they finally got traction in the music industry and had their own television show too. So pretty amazing some of the things that happens in history. I know that I just found out, as I think, I'm not sure, you might have known quicker than I did, but it wasn't just maybe 2.5, 3 hours ago I found out that Dolly Parton had passed away. I know that she had been having some health issues, and a few months ago she claimed that things were going really well and she was doing really well, and then, of course, she canceled some of her touring, and then things had kind of taken a turn and just found out. So I'm not sure when you found out, and if you've heard any more about if it was natural causes or maybe what the reason was for her passing, Peter. Any?
Well, the emails started coming in right away, so I don't remember when it was, but it was early afternoon that I started to see them coming in. And she had kidney stones and an autoimmune issue, and she went into the hospital, I think it was on Thursday, so today is Tuesday, and she suddenly passed. So I don't know what it was, but it was an autoimmune system issue as well as kidney stones. Anybody's ever had kidney stones know they want to die. If you have kidney stones, the pain is incredible. And they didn't say specifically what happened, but I think it was pretty unexpected because I think she just aired an interview on the 19th. So it wasn't like she was totally incapacitated for a long time. So it's just a shame. You know, you only have a perception, because I never knew her, I never met her. The only exposure that I ever had was the stuff that we'd see on TV. But she was very famous for her ownership or part ownership of Dollywood. It was actually a resort and not a resort, like a resident. Why am I having a hard time speaking today? It was kind of like a recreational kind of a games kind of a thing. I don't remember what it was called, but they had some rides and stuff like that in Tennessee. And when she bought it, she kind of really turned it into something really cool. And that Dollywood does I was looking up some notes before this, about $1.8 billion a year in sales. And it employed about 23,000 people as far as the economy of Dollywood was about 23,000 people. And she separately founded the Imagination program, which was something that gave one book a month to kids from when they were basically able to start reading or born till they were 5 years old. And they said that they did that up to as many as 5 countries. And they gave away hundreds of millions of books. And you know, because to kids younger than 5 years old, because she wanted to foster the love of learning by learning how to read. So, you know, you take a look at the impact of an individual, and I'd say, I don't know anything about her personal life or whether she was nice. I would think she would be nice, but I don't know. You know, money changes people sometimes. But from my perception of Dolly Parton, she was a really great person who made a very large impact on this planet. Positively, which gotta love it. So absolutely. But the things that she does will live on.
Yeah. No, that's very interesting, Peter, because I know one of the things I just kind of wanted to mention, maybe, segue into something else, because I think of some of the songs that were her hit songs, and when you say positive, or at least to make you think a little bit, or that you can relate to, I know that she was a few of the songs. I mean, Jolene was extremely popular, and a couple others, and of course, Working 9 to 5. And when I think of Dolly, for me, that's kind of one of the songs that just kind of
absolutely
the tune pops into your head. And working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taken and no given. So. In fact, some of the words, I was just looking at the words just a little bit earlier before we got on here. And after that it says, they just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. And then working 9 to 5, they got you where they want you. There's a better life if you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game no matter what they call it, and you spend your life putting money in his wallet. And that's kind of maybe where I wanted to go with this, Peter, because you and I both know a famous person that has been involved in the industry by the name of Jim Rohn, and he's given some definite, serious deep thoughts or motivational concepts and ideas that help us maybe understand it, where it says there's a better life and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game no matter what they call it, and you spend your life putting money in his wallet. Is there another way? Yeah, definitely. And one of the particular things that I think of as far as Jim Rohn goes is he actually makes a comment. He says you have two choices. You can make a living or you can design a life. And he says that wages or profits are better than wages. Wages will make you a living and profits will make you a fortune. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Absolutely.
So maybe what we'll do is I'll give it back to you and take a quick break, and then we come back from the break and we can kind of expound or expand, maybe both, on some of the things that Jim Rohn had to say that are associated with the industry and why people really should take a moment to understand that they do have two choices. And you can make a living or you can design a life and really make it spectacular. So I'll give it back to you and kind of go from there.
Here we go. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You're listening to Ken Nielson on Count on the Truth Radio.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. You can hear us on all the Humongous AM radio and all the Humongous FM radio stations. Listen in. Whether we are on Amazon Music and Apple's iTunes or iHeartRadio and Spotify, you can hear us everywhere popular news and information is shared. If you sell a product or have something to share with the world, you should advertise with us or learn about hosting your own show on Building Fortunes Radio and the Humongous Ad Network. For more than 25 years, PM Marketing has helped entrepreneurs grow their businesses and sell more products by building customized websites, driving targeted traffic and advertising through the Humongous Ad Network and radio shows. Visit buildingfortunesradio.com or call Peter Mingils directly any day from noon to midnight Eastern Time for details. Call 386-445-3585. That's 386-445-3585. Ask about the KISK book and websites. The KISK, Keep It Simple Circle, can be your key to success. Now, let's get back to the show. Take it away, Peter.
And we're back. Peter Mingils here on the Building Fortunes Radio Network. This is the Count on the Truth Radio Show with Ken Nielson. And if you are looking for a home-based business, which I think a lot of people probably are in a position to take a look at one, they definitely want to call Ken. You'll find his contact information on countonthetruth.com. So, Ken, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Yeah, I know that we've at times we've really brought up some of the key concepts that why we think that the home business industry and why having a home business is the key to making things better as far as financial freedom goes and time freedom and living the life that you want to live. And one of the comments that Jim Rohn made in specific with relating to the information that we've talked about, and you'll know exactly what I mean when I read this particular thought, he says, network marketing is the big wave of the future. It's taking the place of franchising, which now requires too much capital for the average person. And I know in previous episodes, as well as you know, we've talked about, for example, Chick-fil-A. We've talked about, well, I could name a whole bunch of different franchises, but one of them was 7-Eleven. And we talked about how much you've got to have. You know, Wendy's, Arby's, Arctic Circle, anyways, a number of them. And, of course, the one that's the easiest to refer to is McDonald's, because you were talking about McDonald's or know about McDonald's because of where you were involved at the University of Chicago at Illinois. You went past McDonald University all the time. And so when Jim Rohn said that network marketing is the big wave of the future, I mean, it really makes sense to pay attention to what's going on. And he says, just like I said, you know, profits are better than wages. His actual comment was, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. And I know that you know as well as I know that if you're willing to put a little bit of time and effort and do a little bit of homework, you're going to find out that it's really true what he has to say. And it's almost like he was a psychic in all of his thought processes. And another thing that kind of stands out, he says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for fewer problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge. Wish for more wisdom. So, Peter, I don't know if you ever had a chance to attend one of his presentations. Any possibilities that you might have ran into Jim Rohn at some time or got to go to one of his? Oh,
sure.
Okay.
I've seen him, I think, probably a couple of times. One of them was with Electrolux, the vacuum cleaner company I was with. They actually hired him to speak one time. And then I saw him personally when I think I used to go to some of the self-development training programs that they had either in New York or in Chicago or the Midwest. So, yeah, I've seen him a couple of times. And I ordered a lot of his materials. So he's got a couple of really great, he used to do cassette recordings. And then now you can buy all the stuff on digital stuff through Audible.
Oh, very cool. Interesting. I didn't know that you had him come as a speaker when you were at Electrolux.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Good man.
So,
Didn't
just amazing
teach me
how
one thing about how to sell a vacuum. And as far as specifically, he wouldn't know what an Electrolux was, a toggle switch, a rewinder, or cord rewinder. He didn't talk about the hose or the bags or the filtering system or the warranty and nothing of that stuff. He just talked about philosophy, and he was really great. I love Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
He's someone I listen to all the time.
No, fantastic. Crazy that, he keeps claiming, he goes, it's amazing the life that he lived because he was just a small farm town kid from a little town in Idaho.
Yep.
And how networking and the home business industry changed his life and made it different for himself, plus all the different people that he came in contact with and helped them understand the differences. And the thing that I always liked about Jim Rohn, it seemed like instead of with certain concepts and principles, he didn't come in there and try to say, okay, here's one way to look at it, the number or the most positive way and then the most negative way, and then he drew the differences in between and grayed everything out. He just pretty much gave you two ways to look at things, and you kind of had to say, okay, well, it really is one or the other, and kind of a black and white. And it seemed like he simplified things, and it was just fun listening to his ability to make them stand out and make sense when you had the different options like we've talked about before, and you've mentioned you're only as free as your options. He basically comes through and he says, hey, there's two types of pain that you'll go through in life. You'll either go through the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. And I think about that, and I think of some of the things that I've done, and I know that making decisions and trying to decide which way to go forward, you've got to be able to, kind of like you had mentioned in another episode that we've done, is you've got to put the pros on one side, the cons on the other side, and maybe weigh the differences. And it gets better as you go on. And I know that one of the things that I had in one of my previous businesses before the actual company closed down, if you remember back in the day when they had cassette tapes, and I'm giggling and laughing about that because I don't know how many people out there can relate to cassette tapes, because I know we went from cassette tapes to discs and then MP3s and anyway different ways of listening to information and people talk and all the different ways of getting information out. Another thing that Jim Rohn says, your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And again, it's just two different things. It's just real simple but come right out. But back to the cassette tape, I had bought some cassette tapes so when somebody would sign up in the business and want to know more information and really understand the basics and why things worked the way that they did, and it was so powerful to be involved in the home business industry and why it could make a difference at such a quick pace was something that they needed to know. But there were so many positive thoughts and so many things that were basic in that particular. Oh, and I better name what the tape was. It's called Building Your Network Marketing Business. Yeah, I better let people know what the name of it is. And I've got that. I'm pretty sure that I have that on the website where they can go and listen to the actual recording of the tape. You don't even have to buy the tape or go find the tape. It's on the website there. I probably should have gone back there and known exactly where to send somebody. I'll try and put that on maybe the first part of the website, so in case somebody wants to listen to Jim Rohn. But he talks about why things work the way that they do, why people get involved with network marketing or the home business industry, why they quit, why some people make it, why a lot of people don't make it, how you plant seeds, why some grow, why some don't. Kind of the same idea as far as the two. It just seems like the validity of the positive side, maybe the negative side, or just because of the choice that's in front of you. It's kind of like, I remember one of the things that I had heard that was inspirational to me, because I know when it comes time to learn something or to do something, it's pretty much either you do it or you don't do it. And it was interesting because it's fun talking to other people. We, even at work, we get doing certain things, and I'll say to the person that we're trying to teach a new skill to, we'll say, I want you to try and raise your hand. And I could do this to the audience even. As a matter of fact, I say, I want you right now, while you're listening, I want you to try and raise your hand. And I want you to imagine thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to try and raise my hand. So how far does it have to go to raise your hand? Well, the secret to this thing is you either raise your hand or you don't, is really the bottom line. And I think that's kind of how Jim Rohn was such an expert at, was instead of trying to raise your hand, either you did something or you didn't do something. So again, your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. And I don't know if there's anything maybe that sticks out, Peter, that you can recount or recall from Jim Rohn. I know that, like you were talking about Dolly Parton and the library and the books, even Jim Rohn had something. He said the difference between where you are today and where you'll be 5 years from now will be found in the quality of books you've read. So even that ties into the stuff that Dolly Parton had to say. Anything that maybe you can think of that still sticks in your mind that has something to do with Jim Rohn and what he had to do with your presentations?
Oh, like I said, either before the radio show or now, the biggest thing about Jim Rohn was he was the guy that taught you life's philosophy. Mm-hmm. So he really taught you the way to think and showed you that, you know, how you think separates yourself from a lot of other people as well. A lot of people don't know that he was actually like the big sales trainer for an MLM company called Herbalife. So he used to do a lot of presentations for them and obviously was somewhat partial to them, but he really spoke to a lot of people in self-development and direct sales equally. You could take a Jim Rohn conversation and apply it to just about anything you want in your life. Yeah. So I found him to be methodical and slow. So if you're looking for something exciting and you wanted to go dancing, you weren't going to find Jim Rohn. But he was thoughtful, and he would say things in the way that could really stick. And there wasn't any one particular thing, because really you could listen to Jim Rohn and just apply it towards just about everything. So he blended in his personal stories so well with the lessons that he taught. And, you know, it was just really great. And the only thing that I probably would slightly disagree with was when he said, don't wish things were easier, wish you were better. That could be taken out of context. So, you know, there's certain things, you know, where that saying might not fit. So if you disagree with that statement in certain situations, you're okay. But you get the essence of what he meant most of the time. And it really was, he was really great. And it was a shame that he passed away. I don't remember when he did, but he passed away many years ago. And he probably left a legacy of stuff. And you can still buy, like I literally just recently, over the last year or so, threw away my audio cassettes that I never thought I would ever throw away of Jim Rohn and some of the other ones, only because I could buy them on Audible and have the same thing. So instead of me trying to fumble with an audio cassette player, and I was going to do that, and the lack of ability to do that, and I even got an adapter, and I kind of put it into the adapter from the audio cassette player and kind of rigged it into my thing. And what am I doing this for? For $14, I could buy the whole audio cassette on Audible, and that's what I did.
Yeah, great takeaways, great highlights. Great. Yeah, fantastic.
Never gets old.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and he did. He had a special sense of humor. At least I called it that, because he would just kind of bring a few things out. I mean, for just real quick, for example, he used to say successful people have libraries, the rest have big screen TVs. And you think about it, and so many of the people that fail or don't make it in the industry or give up too easily, the next thing you know is they would rather be entertaining themselves by watching some program on TV that really made no difference in their life. And I thought that was kind of a fun takeaway that he had there also. And really the bottom line is, and that's why we say we like to get people to do their homework, at least take a look so they don't have any regrets, at least know what's available out there, and to see what's capable with a particular company. We talked about all the different things that they have with now that they have the autoresponders, the call centers, the AI, because I know that you're using AI to its advantage. It's just, I guess it's a lot easier, but it needs to be a lot easier, speaking of easy and wishing it was better or you were better. But sometimes it's not as easy as we want it to be, when really it's easier than it used to be. And the thing that I think is the obstacle, or maybe trying to figure out, is there's so much competition. A lot of the new businesses that have their heads popping up around the corner, and you're saying, uh-oh, what have they got going? What's new? What's available? You still have to look at the products and services, and then, of course, you have to compare compensation plans. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people probably need to know a little bit more about what they don't really emphasize that, I don't think, or at least emphasize that enough. And I think the compensation plan can make a huge difference in somebody's ability to be successful versus the option of the failure that takes place in the industry. So, boy, time just flies by sometimes, Peter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess the best thing to kind of say to sum things up is I think that we've kind of gotten a feel for the things that really are working, as opposed to some of the things that are struggling. And we've even talked about the companies that are having problems and have actually merged with other companies. And we pretty much have a pretty good idea why that's happening. And I know the economy doesn't help because of the cost of things and the auto ships and the way that certain companies put their products and services into use and make them available to the people that are out there. And especially for people that might be new, they want to know maybe a few of the things that make a difference and need to pull back the curtain right off the bat instead of waiting until they're down the road for 30 or 60 days. So like Jim Rohn used to say, a formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune, and the major key, and this is his saying also, the major key to your better future is you. And I just want to kind of leave that with people, and I think it really is up to them, because it's going to be whether they'll be the people that determine what they're going to get out of the ability to change their financial future for more time, freedom, and the things that are available, especially with what we have to offer right at this point. So anything you'd like to add, Peter, before we kind of get out of here until the next time around?
Well, the most important thing is, you can make a big impact. You may not be Dolly Parton as far as the impact on the world, because she had a head start and a lot of leverage, but you can make an impact on your world by, getting involved in a home-based business, building it either to whatever degree you certainly can, and help people with their financial education, their health information, all that sort of stuff, so they can make their world a better place. And you can go find a lot of this stuff if you go to countonthetruth.com, and you can talk to Ken and have a pleasant conversation with him, because he could steer you on the track. And if you want to do something, like I said, it's almost like a volunteer situation. If you want to do it, he can't make you do it. But if you want to do it, then do it with Ken, and you'll find yourself in a better place in the next couple of months, next couple of years, develop a good community, and like I said a little bit earlier, make your world a better place. So Ken, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you doing these radio shows, and we're going to catch everybody next time on Building
Peter.
Fortunes Radio. Thanks, everyone.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Building Fortunes Radio is part of the Humongous AM and Humongous FM radio network. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website to listen to your favorite shows. You can also hear us on Humongous Radio and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for.